My name is Ben Wishaw, and I play Peter Hujar in the film Peter Hujar's Day.
My name is Ira Sachs, and I'm the writer and the director of Peter Hujar's Day.
My name is Rebecca Hall, and I play Linda Rosenkrantz, who originally transcribed the book, or turned it into a transcript, and then a book.
I want to know, it's such a fascinating kind of artifact, and I was wondering, Ira, where did you come across this, and then how did you cast your lovely cast? And
I was working in Paris with Ben on a film called Passages, and I saw a book in a bookstore called Peter Hujar's Day, and it was a publication of a transcript of a conversation that took place in 1974 between the photographer Peter Hujar and his friend Linda Rosenkrantz. And I picked it up and read it in a cafe, and by the time I finished it, I thought this would be a really interesting project or film or piece of art to make with Ben specifically, because we were already in the middle of a collaboration, and it felt like something we would both be interested in and be able to find something unexpected.
And Ben, you said, "Why did you think I would be interested in this?" No, okay. What when he brought it to you, what did you think?
I really enjoyed reading the book, and I was like, "Do you think there could be something in it?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think there could be something in it." But then I really didn't see it until Ira sent me the script, probably a year later or something. And then I really could see that it was something as a text, as a text. It had so much that was fascinating and rich and interesting for an actor to engage with.
And Ira, it was going to be a short originally, and
Well, it was going to be whatever it needed to be.
Okay.
We had a lot of freedom in the making of the film, thanks to our nice financiers, that we could make it what it determined itself to be. So in a way, it really was an art project.
Okay.
And, yeah.
And Rebecca, how did you get involved?
Well, I sort of pestered Ira around the time of Passages because I was a fan and wanted to have an reason to work with him, or just know him actually. So we had breakfast, and shortly after that you said, "How about this?"
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's a fascinating movie to watch because it's so intimate. It's just you two in various rooms. Ira, did you always know that you were going to just stick with them and never kind of dramatize anything or go outside?
Yeah, I mean, I was interested in this conversation between two friends, and what in being very focused on it specifically and those boundaries and limitations could actually make the moment or the film bigger. Like it felt like to contain it actually made it valuable. Yeah. So it never occurred to me to do anything other than figure out how to have these two people talk in a movie, and that was actually very challenging. Like, meaning it's a conversation that took place over one afternoon, but we've turned it into 33 scenes that take place over the course of the day. And in doing so, it sort of also becomes an exploration of portraiture and figures in space and in light and in different times of day. So it becomes a conversation around photography also.
Yeah. Very beautifully shot, too. Ben, when you saw how much dialogue you had to remember, what was going through your mind? I mean, you talk through this entire movie. It's pretty astounding. Was there any improvisation between you two, or was it? Okay, no. Okay.
No, word.
Every word. Okay.
I mean, unless I got something wrong. I mean, and I think I did occasionally. But basically, every word is Peter's words and Linda's words. We didn't improvise anything.
Wow.
No.
And were there recordings and things that you could listen to? Because you both. Oh, really? Okay. The voice, the kind of vocals.
I mean, there's one recording of Peter that Ira found in the Morgan Library talking to David Wojnarowicz, but a different conversation altogether. And you spoke to Linda.
I spoke. Yeah, Linda's alive.
Linda's in Park City.
And
really?
She's here right now.
Yeah. Let's bring her in. Yeah. What was that like?
Exciting.
Yeah.
So I spoke to her on the phone and tried to absorb as much as possible, and it was fascinating. She's a wonderful person to talk to. She's got such a kind of wit and I don't know, sort of warmth to her that I immediately liked her. And we didn't really talk about, funnily enough, I didn't really ask her that many questions about the day or even that much her relationship with Peter. I was more just curious to get a sense of her. So we just spoke like you would speak. And then, but I had her as a resource to be like, how would you say this word with your accent, that kind of thing.
I love it. I love it.
There's actually very little video. There's almost no video that I know of Peter.
Okay.
And there's very little audio. There is this conversation with David Rodorovich, but the other thing I found you and shared with you is Peter hypnotizing himself in order to try to stop smoking, which is a great little thing that exists that was in the depths of some archival library. And he's trying to he learned that if he hypnotized himself, then he would maybe stop. So he's like, I must stop smoking. Smoking is bad for you. And it's great. It's yeah.
How many cigarettes did you probably go through during the shooting of this movie? I mean,
Just chain smoking.
just chain smoking.
They weren't real cigarettes.
Thank God. I was worried
They
for your
were-
health by the end of it.
The really disgusting fake cigarettes.
Okay.
Which are sort of more repulsive than real cigarettes.
But he never complained, and it was a lot of smoking.
You never complained,
No.
not once.
How long did you shoot this?
Long enough.
Okay, long.
Yeah.
More than one day.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
over many days.
Okay.
Because we turned the film from something that occurred in a single time frame into something that occurs over basically from late afternoon until the morning.
Okay.
So there was a desire to sort of show the changing of time and to think about a day in the context of this film about a day. And also what was interesting to me is I placed the actors in different spaces at different times, but not in connection to the text itself. It was just like, now is the time to change. And
well, until the end, there's a little bit of when he's looking out the window, he's also looking out the window in his story.
That's
right?
true. That's
Okay.
that is a moment. But I would say in general, it was interesting to me to see how the actors would respond, not because what they were saying, but because the mood of the space or the light or like here, how does that affect a model, for example?
The other fascinating thing about the movie, I thought, was the kind of like lack of context for any of the people that he's, citing or the music or anything. And then Rebecca has that great moment where she's like, I don't really care about celebrities. And Ben is sort of like, you see like the kind of existential spiral. But I was wondering what that was like to sort of like just say, you know what, he's just going to talk about these people and people are going to just kind of get it or not, but it'll all be conveyed.
Well, what occurs to me as you're talking is it's a little like working in verite documentary where your people have a reference. If you're in like shooting like you were just before, shooting talking to these people who are doing a film about a family, you don't know who their aunts and uncles or cousins or the people, but they speak a language because that's part of who they are.
Yeah.
So I think our interest was not the specificity of each of these people, but that these people were shared between these two friends.
Yeah.
They had a shared world.
Right.
And you need to and that was actually a process of trying to sort of figure out who there's like probably 65 different names mentioned in the course of the film. And we learned who those people were as best we could. There's a few that remain mysteries.
Right. I saw that you were saying that it's about artists in a city full of artists, and I was wondering if you could expand on that, and Ben and Rebecca, if you want to expand on living in your relative worlds full of artists and what that means to you.
Well, I when I watched the film, this doesn't really answer what this doesn't maybe answer what you're asking, but when I watched the film, I was moved by, I felt like the film, I agree with Aya that it's a kind of about portraiture somehow, but I also felt like it was, I really loved how it just gave time to how it feels to be an artist and the struggle of being an artist. I know that sounds sort of pretentious, but I don't feel it is when you watch the film. It's sort of, you feel like there's something this man is striving, seeking to get through his art. And even if he's not talking directly about that, everything really is about this desire to capture something in his work, and how that feels, and the pain of that when you feel you've failed.
Right.
And I really love that, and I think that that's something probably common to artists, is the feeling of dissatisfaction with what you've done or something.
I don't want to interrupt you. I just wanted, because you said the capturing of something and the kind of need to capture it, which I think is why it works on so many levels, because then you've also got Linda's need to capture this
Yeah.
moment
Yeah.
for her art, and then you've got your need to
That's
capture
right.
this in the movie,
Right.
and then it gets even larger, our general need to capture every moment as it goes by,
Mm.
and just
Yeah.
contemplate those moments by watching something that's so
Passing.
contained
Yeah.
Yeah.
and ephemeral,
Yes.
including Peter Hujar's life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think also it's a portrait of art making,
Mm-hmm.
because what he's talking about gives you access. It's very hard to make a film about an artist.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's hard to see the process. What is the process? And somehow
Mm.
being inside this particular text, you begin to understand the nuance of the decisions made, the anxiety felt, the insecurity, the moments of epiphany, the possibility of epiphany, the desire for epiphany.
Yeah.
All these things become really densely described in this text and in this film.
Yeah. We have to wrap in a minute, but I have to ask Ben, what are you going to tell us about Black Doves 2?
I know nothing
Soon?
about it.
Are you doing it soon?
I don't know, 6 months time or something.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And Rebecca, you know I love those Godzilla movies. You coming back? You getting scared, running around, moving away from Godzilla?
I think they're making another one, but
Are you-
nobody's
are you
asked
coming
me
back?
to do it. No,
Okay,
nobody's
I'll make
asked
some
me
calls.
Yet. Make
Well,
some calls.
okay, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it's a
think
nice
that-
paycheck. You know what I mean? Thank you guys so
Thank
much.
you so
Love the
much.
movie.
Thank
This
you.
is a real
Thank you.
thrill.
Thank
Thank you.
you so much.